It is the Jim and Terry Show, coming to you from the Hobbit Hole Studio in downtown Bobcaygeon. Bright, sunny, no, not so much. Warm, no, not that either. Cold and blustery, snowy, but I've got turkey tracks. Yeah, turkey tracks. You know, they kind of remind me of what a T-Rex might have evolved into. A turkey. That would be funny. But I'm thinking specifically of that three-toed foot that they have. And the two are like your first two fingers spread out, and then your thumb is the tail end one. So it's like a peace symbol on the other way, turn it upside down. So we got a whole bunch of turkey tracks. Yes, they're hovering around the front door. They're taking shelter in the shrubs that are in the front, under the lilac tree that's in the front. They're even roosting up on the arbor that I built along the front entranceway walkway, which has a grapevine, which still has some grapes and some things of interest to the birds to peck at. And I wondered why I was seeing them all over the walkway, and it's because the birds are flying up there and pecking away and dropping things to the ground, and some other ones who don't have the energy to lift off will pick up the stuff on the ground. So there you go. Stories of turkeys in the lead up to, New Year's? Maybe that's a good omen. I always loved turkeys. I love their gobble gobble, and especially the Swedish chef's version of it on the Muppets Christmas. Gobbler gobbler. Yeah, Ricky dorky. Maybe Sweden's in the news as well. Seems like Canada is narrowing the field. Will we go with the JAS Gripen, or will we go with the threats by this F-35, or else what? Anyway, was the gobbler gobbler turkeys. How did I make all that stream of consciousness connections? I don't know. You live long enough, you get all kinds of weird rewirings happening in your head. I thought I might continue with some social media. I've not been able to repair the link between my soundboard, which has Jim's mic and my mic, as well as two additional channels, which I usually put my phone through to record it. But I can't get those third and fourth channels to send a signal. So I am stuck. So I'm going to have to read to you what I'm finding, and instead of playing it for you. You can check it out. This is on YouTube. And it is George Conway. And George Conway was one of my favorite characters. I followed him ever since the debacle of the Trump 1.0 White House and his separation from Kellyanne. The strangest mix, a sharp legal mind and someone who creates an alternative fact reality. I never saw that could possibly work, but it did for them for a time. I'm sorry for anybody who lives in a world of difficulty and struggle. I don't want to extol that and celebrate that or clap it, but I am following George Conway. Look him up on YouTube. Look him up on I think he's got his own podcast at this point in time. Anyway, sharp legal mind looking at the Constitution. And he basically, in this short, he goes ballistic on Levitt and says, did you ever go to school? Did you ever go to primary school? Did you ever go to high school? Did you ever take any courses in American history or civics? Did you ever take anything on government and how it operates? Because if you did, you have sold your soul to the devil. I'm putting paraphrase in his mind. He really goes off on Caroline Levitt, has nothing, can't stand her and her false pretensions. It's the blonde hair, the buxom, good-looking, behind the cross, hiding behind religiosity, false religiosity. They have a prayer meeting before they go out and do their show and tell. Is that what you call the White House when she stands at the front behind the podium to talk about what Trump just said? As the president has made perfectly clear, and you're fake news, and she does exactly what Trump does, pointing to people out, making fun of them. Since when is this the godly approach? It is the Project 2025 approach, but it's not a godly approach if you consider the teachings of the New Testament. So hiding behind religiosity is something that is abhorrent to me. And George Conway calls out that whole thing. Not that he's not the only one, but I respect him because he is a sharp, legal, constitutional mind. And as Trump 1.0 got impeached twice, I looked at the constitutional minds who prosecuted that case against the president. And remember, the Congress convicted him, and to have that happen, you had to have some people crossing the floor from the GOP to the Democratic side under the leadership of the House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi. And what have we seen since then? We've seen Trump continue to spell lie after lie. Remember, he was fact-checked over 30,000 lies in his first administration. That's not just untruths and, oh, I'm going to stretch the statistic a bit. Oh, I'm going to round unemployment down instead of up, because who wants a bigger number? I'm going to round the inflation numbers down because who wants a bigger number? It's not a question of that. It's a question of actually misrepresenting the data. And when you don't like the data, to disband the branch of government that was responsible for data collection. It's all that kind of stuff. So basically it's just saying, this stuff is going on. It's gone on. It has never changed. Trump has never been held accountable. Well, there's another guy that I follow from that first thing, and his name is Joe Walsh, who used to be part of the Tea Party. And if you remember the Tea Party back in the days, it was a almost libertarian slice of the Republican Party. Far more right-wing, and the basic thing is that they wanted to balance the budget. And I'm sure now that I understand how these things work, I can appreciate the emphasis. Balance the budget. Why? Because the U.S. is about to implode on debt. Despite what Trump says about tariffs, the greatest word I ever found out, and I love tariffs, and make them all pay, them all being everybody else in the world. And of course, everybody knows it's the American consumer, it's American businesses who pay, and they are the ones shouldering. So the money that Trump keeps touting of $18 trillion, yeah, it's a bunch of hogwash. So can't believe anything the president says, and then he goes out and has a conference with Zelensky and blah, blah, blah. Joe Walsh, to get back to him, his show is called Social Contract with Joe Walsh, and I followed him since he became not just an independent, but I think he's now a Democrat, seeing as it's only a binary choice, really, in the United States. You either are with one or the other if you want to have an impact. It's like choosing the Conservatives or the Liberals in Canada. You don't want to choose the Green or the NDP because their chances of having an impact is not that great. So if you want to make your votes count, go with one of the two major parties, one on the left, one on the right, and hopefully they will go down the middle at some point. Joe Walsh is now saying it out loud, and I think he said it, and I referred to it in a bit earlier when I read this RT, Russia Today, TASS, the official news agency of the Russian government, the Russian propaganda, is the equivalent of Fox propaganda news network in the United States. Remember, Fox was the only network ever sued $1 billion in their first round over their lies about the voting machine irregularities. Nothing proved in court. They lost the battle, paid the money. Okay, that was round one. The second voting machine company has taken them, sued them for $2 million. I'm not sure where that ended up. In the midst of all that coming and going of suits and countersuits and propaganda, Joe Walsh has been a voice of reason, and he's trying to get Americans to pull together and drag people out of the MAGA movement into the sane world of anybody but Trump. And I've followed him for years. He's looking a little, as we all are, older, a little long in the tooth these days for the battles because it's taken a personal toll on him. When following your inner moral compass takes a toll and people gang up on you and threaten you, and he's been threatened, his family's been threatened, the same as, I hate to say this, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been threatened by Trump personally and by Trump's MAGA cohort, the people who hide in their mothers, grandmothers' basements. These people are trolling all the ones who are breaking reins with Trump. And hopefully somewhere the Epstein files will be released. Anyways, a couple of names for you to follow, the ones that I follow: George Conway, Joe Walsh. I'll put links in the description. You can judge for yourself as to their character and why character matters. The Jim and Terry Show, without my good friend Jim, hoping for 2026 to bring peace to somebody, somewhere, somehow. Bye-bye for now. relationship I have with my moment.